Namaskar. If I ask you, name few persons whose personalities have influenced you, can you remember some of your friends, relatives, or any person whom you have come across, or maybe any person whom you have never met, but whose personality has influenced you? How you will explain what is the personality of that person who has influenced you? Is it the physique? Is it the charm of a person? Is it that the person looks similar to someone? What is the reason, how you analyze that why the personality of a particular person has influenced you? We use the word personality quite often. In our day-to-day life also, many a times we say that I am influenced by the personality of a particular person. But when it comes to defining and when it comes to precisely telling what I mean by personality, then many have problem. What exactly we mean by personality? And here comes the most important analysis from the human resource management point of view and for the OB practitioner to know the personalities of their people. The reason is very simple. Individuals who are working in an organization, they come with different personalities. By nature, every individual is different. And so every individual brings with him a different kind of personality. And the job of the OB practitioner or HR manager is to see to it that every personality, every individual gets the job for which his or her personality is best suited. And therefore for a HR manager, it is very crucial to know what are the personalities of the individuals who are working in his organization. Even in our day-to-day life, every one of us, we must know what exactly we mean by personality and how do we analyze the individuals whom we interact, whom we come across, and with whom we work in our day-to-day life. And therefore personality becomes the most crucial subject in organizational behavior theory. In this unit, we will be studying personality from the point of view of what is personality, what is the trait theory of personality, how the personality can be applied or how personality theories can be applied at the workplace. And after studying this, the objectives that we are going to fulfill by learning this particular chapter is we must be able to define personality and more specifically understand the importance of this concept at the workplace. We must understand how cultural and lifelong social experience shape the personality. Any person's personality is shaped by the experiences that the person gets throughout his life, maybe work life or his cultural or personal life, and understand the main characteristics of one's own personality. It is very necessary that when we try to analyze the personalities of people around us, we must be able to analyze our own personality and find out as to how we react or how we interact with others. Personality, therefore, is a relatively enduring pattern of thinking. How we think about a particular issue, how we look at a particular situation, and how we feel about that situation, and then how we respond to that. So first is enduring thinking, how we continuously think about a particular issue or a particular situation or a particular person maybe, how we feel about that situation, and then how we react to that particular situation or in that particular environment. In short, we can say that personality is the sum total of the way in which an individual reacts to or interacts with others. How the individual is thinking about a particular situation that comes out of an environment, and how the person is reacting to that particular environment or that particular situation and interacting with others, that shapes or that tells the whole story of the personality of the person. Thus we can say that personality is individual specific. It is the individuality of a person. It is the person specific concept. It is the tendency of a person to think in a particular manner in a particular situation. Individual behavior or individual thinking is influenced by his or her social context. In which social environment the individual has gathered his or her experience that shapes the personality of that particular person. If you take an example, in which situation, in which social context you are living. If you are living in a society which is a learning society, which gives more emphasis on value system, on learning, then the individual's personality will be shaped accordingly. And so the social context of individual's personality becomes most crucial. We also need to know how the social experience that a person gets shapes his or her personality. The way in which you are treated at the workplace, the way you get the experience when you move around in the society, that shapes the personality of a person. The person internalizes these experiences. Every individual, when he takes the experience, he internalizes, he thinks about that experience again and again. And then he frames or he comes to a particular conclusion, and then he says or she says that now in that kind of a situation I will react in this particular manner. So by internalizing social experience or by internalizing the surrounding in which we are working, the person decides the further course of action or how he or she will react. But one must understand that there cannot be one best personality. Personality is, as I said, individual specific. And as the person grows, as the person acquires social experience, as the person acquires the experience of being with people, he develops his or her personality, which is a continuous process. And so at no point of time a person, an individual can say that I have achieved to the highest level of my personality. Everyone is learning every day, and that learning is shaping our personality every day. And so every individual is faced by different kinds of situations, on the basis of which the person's thinking process is channelized. And so we cannot say that there is one best personality type. Some personality types are useful in certain situations, and some personality types are useful in some other situations. For example, if you go to a bank and you see that 5 people are sitting at the counter, these people are interacting with the customers every day. The customers are asking questions, arguing, putting their complaints. Some customers are smiling, some customers are very cooperative. But the counter clerk, the person sitting at the counter, he is reacting to every customer, and every day he is getting the experience. The moment a customer comes to him, the counter clerk knows that, gets himself prepared how to react to that customer, because he knows how that customer will be acting with him or interacting with him. Now, the clerks who are sitting at the counter, they have a different kind of personality. Now, suppose a bank officer who is sitting inside the bank, not at the counter, if for some reason one day he is asked to sit at the counter, maybe he is unable to do the work. So you need, in an organization, you need people, you need individuals with different kinds of personalities. And therefore, every organization must learn to value the personality of every individual. And so there cannot be one based personality type, as we can call it. Personality is considered as important criteria for employment. Today's scenario is such that the HR managers, they try to analyze the personality of an individual while screening the individual for interview. The traits are identified, and then the HR manager finds out whether that personality, the personality type that the person has, that individual has, whether that will fit into his organization culture or organizational values, or the role for which the person is being interviewed. However, one should not go for excessive classification of personality types, because as I said earlier, every day the person, the individual is shaping his or her personality. You cannot say that today I have shaped my personality, now my job is over, and henceforth no need to look at shaping of my personality. No. Every day you are shaping your personality. And so there should not be excessive classification of personality types. The psychologists, they have studied this personality aspect a long way and developed various theories of personality, of which the most important theory is the trait theory of personality. If I ask you how you would describe the personality of a very close friend of yours, think about it. How you will analyze or describe the personality of a close friend or of a relative. Maybe you will describe the person referring the kind of experience that you have with that particular person. And you would try to know what are the traits, personal characteristics that the person has shown in different situations. Gordon Allport was the psychologist who pioneered the research on personality traits. He did his research work in 1897 to 1967, and he believed that certain chosen words describe the individual's personality or individual traits. The theory says that there is a central point of the personality, and then there are building blocks, as he calls it. There is a central point, basic trait of a person, and then there are building blocks which shape together the personality of a person. He analyzed the questionnaire responses from thousands of people and also obtained ratings from these people. as to how much importance they are giving to a particular trait that is mentioned in the questionnaire. And on the basis of this analysis of the questionnaire that he made, he came to the conclusion that there are 16 main traits which are seen in the individuals, and he called them as source traits, basic traits which are shown by a person. And these 16 traits which were shown by him or which were discovered by him by analyzing the questionnaires and the ratings given by thousands of people, these 16 personality traits as narrated by him are: the first trait is people either are cool or warm. People are concrete thinking or they have abstract thinking. People are affected by feelings. There are people who are emotionally very stable. There are people who are submissive. There are people who are very dominant nature. There are people who are very sober. They will always keep low profile. There are people who are very enthusiastic as against sober. There are people who are enthusiastic. There are people who are always in a hurry, expedient. As against this, there are people who are conscientious. There are people who are very shy. They never will come forward even though they know something. And against this, there are people who are very bold. They will always be in the forefront and they will never feel shy to express their views. There are people who are very tough-minded. They are least bothered about individuals. As against this, there are people who are tender-minded. Then another trait that he identified is people who are trusting, people who trust others. And against this, the trait is people who are always suspicious. They will always suspect individuals why the person must have uttered this word or why the person must have behaved this way. There are people who are very practical. Another trait, very practical. And there are against this, there are people who are imaginative. They always live in the world of imagination. There are people who are forthright, outspoken. They will tell what they feel very frankly. Against this, the trait is there are people who are very shrewd. They will not tell on the face, but they will keep it in mind and they will use it somewhere. There are people who are self-assured. Against this, there are people who are apprehensive. Another trait that he identified was people are conservative. What is being practiced for years together, let it be like that. Against this, there are people who are always experimenting. Okay, this is practiced for so many years. Let me do it in different way. Let me try it in different way. That is the trait. Some people are group oriented. They like to be in a group. They like to work in a group. They prefer that group members, they give him respect. But there are people who are self-oriented. They don't need group to work. They motivate themselves and they do the work on their own. Then very interesting trait, undisciplined people. And against this, controlled people. The trait describes that there are individuals who are very disciplined. Everything is under control for them. And then the last trait that he has described is there are people who are relaxed. And there are people who are always under pressure, always under tension. Now, these 16 personality traits are identified. If you take any of these traits and try to analyze your own personality, you will come to know where you fall in these 16 traits. But at the same time, as I said earlier, every day we are learning something new. So today I may be self-oriented. For a particular reason I am self-oriented, but for some other reasons I am group-oriented. For example, for a student, when it comes for study, the student may be self-oriented. He doesn't like to study in a group. But suppose a complaint is to be lodged in the college office, the student becomes group-oriented. And so it becomes situational. There is no hard and fast rule. At times we are suspicious, but at times we are trusting also. And so it is very interesting to analyze one's own personality on the basis of these 16 personalities, traits. Those are identified by Allport. Another model of personality that was developed quite recently is called as the Big Five personality model. This model says that 16 traits are too big to study. And so they narrowed down the traits to 5 traits, major traits, and said that 5 basic dimensions, they underline and encompass most of the significance of those 16 traits. And these 5 basic traits, if the person analyzes for himself or for others, then personality type can be described. This Big Five personality model gives the 5 personality traits like, first trait is extraversion. This trait captures one's comfort level with the relationship. How far we are comfortable with our people, with our relatives, friends, the group in which we are. Those who are comfortable with others, they are assertive and they are social. Those who are not comfortable with others, with relationships, maybe anything, maybe friends, maybe relatives, maybe parents, maybe peer group, those who are not comfortable with these relationships, they tend to be reserved type of persons. They tend to be quiet type of persons. So this is the first trait. Second trait is agreeable. This trait refers to the individual's propensity to defer to others. Whether the person is willing to differ with others in a group, in a peer group, a meeting is going on and somebody has put forth an idea. As an individual, I am not agreeing to that idea, but am I ready to differ with that particular idea? Or under pressure, why I should differ? Or I am scared of the peer group, or I am shy type of a person, and I don't put forward my view and I say I agree to whatever you say. And there are individuals who are of this type. they go on agreeing whatever people say. High agreeable people at times are cooperative, warm and trusting people. They are always liked by others because this type of individual will never differ. He will always agree whatever you say. As against this, those people who score very low on agreeableness are always disagreeable. They are not liked because they will always argue, they will always differ, and they will never come to agreeable situation. So this is the second trait, agreeable. The third trait that is identified in the Big Five personality model is conscientiousness, a measure of reliability. Whether the person is reliable, if you give him a work, are you sure that the person will do the work definitely? The reliability of a person. Whether the person takes that responsibility. If the person is reliable, then the person is organized, dependable and persistent. So you can depend on these kind of people. But those who score low on this trait, they get easily distracted. For example, to give a very simple example at home, as I said, the beauty of all these management theories, you can apply it even at home and even at a bigger family like organization. There are two children in the house. The mother says that both of you should study for 1 hour. The first type of person, the first type of child who is reliable, responsible, he will study for 1 hour. But another child, he will look at the window and if he sees that his friend is playing a ball, he gets easily distracted to that. And then he loses his concentration in the study. And then the mother says that the two children are totally different. She means that one is reliable, dependable, and another is gets distracted. Similar is the situation in an organization. In a department, 2 persons are working, 3 or 4 persons are working. The departmental head, when it comes to assigning a particular important job, will always think who is reliable and who gets distracted very easily. So I want this work to be done within 1 hour. And then as a departmental head, I select a person who will not get easily distracted, but who will be dependable, who will take the responsibility and who will complete that job within that 1 hour. So this is another trait. The fourth trait is emotional stability. This trait taps the person's ability to withstand the stress. Whether it is personal life or whether it is work life, stress is always there. The most important point is whether as an individual we are able to withstand that stress. And in order to handle that stress, a person needs to have emotional stability. People with emotional stability are calm, self-confident and secure. Those who score very low on emotional stability, these people, they are always hyper, they get disturbed and they are insecure, and so they are unable to concentrate on their work. So emotional stability of a person is an important trait of personality. And the last is openness to experience. This trait addresses the range of interest and function with novelty. whether the person is interested in new things. In a department, the persons are working, individuals are working. Whether the individuals or any of them is ready to do the same work with some other method, add some value to that particular function, make that function more interesting. Extremely open people. They are very creative, they are curious, and they are artistic. They are open to new ideas. The new ideas may come from anywhere. They interact with people. And such type of people, they themselves are very creative and they get ideas from others as well. Normally what happens is, if the individual is performing a particular job, say for last 20 years, and if somebody comes and says that instead of doing this way, can you not try this way? The person says, the person who is not open enough will say that, don't tell me, don't try to be too smart. You are new in this department. I am doing this work for last 20 years and I know this is the only way. These persons are not open people. But even after doing that work for 20 years, the person says that yes, give me your idea, I will think about it. He discusses that idea and is ready to work on the idea. Therefore, these people are curious to know what is happening around them. Those at the other end of the openness category, they are conventional type of people. And they find comfort in whatever is familiar for them. So, I am familiar with this kind of, even if their table is changed or even if their sitting arrangement is changed, they are unhappy because they are familiar with that particular surrounding and they don't like something new. And so, openness to experience is another important trait that describes the person's personality. This Big Five model has really helped the HR managers to assess the individuals and know what is the personality of every individual that comes to them. What is the importance of this personality at the workplace? At the workplace, it is very necessary to align the requirement of the job and the characteristics of the person, the personality of a person. Unless there is alignment between these two, you cannot expect better performance from the individual. For example, the earlier illustration that we have taken, the person who is sitting at the counter of a bank, if he is not a person who is interested in interacting with people and he is asked to put a work at the counter, maybe he will not be able to perform because he doesn't like that. He is not that type of a person. And so, the personality traits helps the HR manager first to screen the people at the time of interview and then understand how to align the personality traits with the job requirements so that the individual can be fit into that job. And so personality job fit becomes the most important function of a manager. John Holland, a management expert, has given the theory of personality job fit. And he says that satisfaction of the individuals is highest and the turnover is lowest when personality and occupation are in agreement. So if you want people to stay with you for a long time, and if the organization wants that the individual should give highest performance, then there should be a perfect match between the job and the personality of the individual. For example, a practical, a realistic person in a realistic job is more happy with the job, and therefore it is necessary, according to Holland, that there has to be alignment, there has to be perfect match between the personality of a person and the job that he or she is doing. Another theory that is given is personality organization fit. Holland says that it is not only necessary to match the personality and the job, but also it is necessary that the personality and the organization, values of the organization, the culture of the organization, they also match. People are attracted towards a particular organization because they feel that their personality matches with the value system of that particular organization. For example, if you say Tatas, then Tata Group of companies is known for certain values and certain work culture. A French engineer who gets an opportunity to work with Tata Motors, for example, and if you ask him that you are getting more salary in some another company, why you are going to Tata Motors? The person would say the value system and the work culture of Tata Motors matches with my personality. So there is a personality fit with the organizational values. So the organizational values, the culture of the organization must be compatible with the personality of the individual. That is the another theory. So there are two theories. One theory is the personality of a person and the job, they should match, and that the personality of a person should be compatible with the organization with which the person intends to work. Holland has given few examples or typical model as to what kind of personality traits or personality type a person is having and what are the possible best occupations for that type of personality. And this is very interesting. He says that if the person is very realistic, then he is fit to become a medical practitioner, an engineer, or a farmer. Then he says that if the personality type of a person is investigative, then the person can become a mathematician, a biologist, or a system analyst. He says that if a person is very social, then the person can become a social worker, a teacher, a counselor, for example. Then he says that if the personality type of a person is conventional, then you can become an accountant, a banker, for example, or an administrator. Then if the person is enterprising, if the personality trait or the personality type is enterprising, then the most favorable or possible occupation for such type of personalities is person can become a lawyer, an entrepreneur, salesperson, financial planner. And if the personality type is artistic, then the person can become a musician, painter, etc. In short, we can say that learning personality, analyzing the personality of individuals is the most crucial task of a HR person at any workplace. Thank you.